In 1987, I graduated with a Master's of Arts from the Woodrow Wilson School of International Affairs at the University of Virginia with a degree in Foreign Affairs. It is still one of the best programs in the country. I was offered a White House foreign policy internship. In 2012, I was in jail for 14 and a half months for bribery and corruption offenses. How did it all go so wrong? Well, let's start with my environment. Between 1997 and 2007, I was on the front lines of business, working as the VP of International Sales for a large defense contractor. I was overseas 250 days per year and earning a great deal of money based on my success. Twice, I lived and worked out of the United Kingdom. You see, the thing about being on the front lines is that you are far away from the home office and well removed from the law and policies of your company. I thought I couldn't deliver sales success and compliance, but I kept this dilemma to myself. I didn't share it with my family or my company. You see, a company may have extensive compliance processes and protocols in place, but when your bottom line is that you are paid solely on individual performance rather than following compliance policies, well, you can guess which one I chose. And for 7 years, I was very successful in my choice. You see, I was traveling to places so remote that I thought no one would ever know what I might say or do. At one point, I was in a small town called Tierra del Fuego, less than 600 miles from Antarctica, the furthest away I could possibly be from my company and from investigators. I didn't see myself as doing anyone any harm, or so I thought. You see, I rationalized my behavior, even though I knew what I was doing was unethical and illegal. I didn't think that anyone would ever know or that I would ever get caught. Operating in remote regions with little oversight, there were no witnesses to these corrupt discussions. It's a victimless crime. I embraced the dangerous illusion that at the business level, corruption can be a win-win for business. I wanted to win above all else and thought of corruption as the norm in international business. I thought of sales success and compliance as a zero-sum game and could not deliver both to management. My thought processes were not just misguided, they were totally illogical and irrational. Have you ever heard of something called bias optimism? That's when we believe that we are at less risk of experiencing a negative event compared to others. Another way of saying this is, it will never happen to me syndrome. You see, the important thing was winning above anything else. And if that is what you focus on, you are definitely not focusing on the repercussions of your actions, ethically, morally, and legally. So when a third party told me he was paying tolls, I knew what he meant. You see, the language of bribery involves many different words, but not bribery. In fact, at first, I didn't even have to do anything. I could just nod. And that's what I did. I started nodding my way through breaking the law. I mean, I wasn't even doing anything wrong. It was someone else, wasn't it? But I knew better. I knew that I was now a co-conspirator to violating anti-bribery laws.
My name is Robert Appleton, and in 2006, I was the chief of the United Nations Procurement Task Force. My job was to investigate and eliminate fraud in the United Nations contracting worldwide. In New York, I've started to investigate one of Richard's toll guys, or what is often called an intermediary, on a contract that had nothing to do with Richard or his former employer. During that investigation, I found a number of emails and documents with Richard's name on it. So I started to investigate Richard, and I shared my findings with the U.S. Justice Department, who then also started to target Richard. You see, Richard felt safe that he was isolated and he would never get caught. What he wasn't thinking about was what would happen if one of his toll guys got investigated.
Before I got caught, I was so focused on success that I was ethically numb. Had I thought about it properly, I would have realized the societal, governance, and economic consequences of bribery and corruption. It harms society and fair competition. You see, bribery gives you an unfair advantage. It overrides price, service, quality, and brand, so there is no market discipline. As a result, an unqualified company can win a contract. This can mean that quality, safety, and controls are compromised, resulting in waste, inefficiency, and in some cases, safety issues and environmental disasters. It means that services and products are often purchased which are not needed, but which facilitate corruption. When that happens, projects that are needed, such as hospitals and schools, are often shelved. Worse, corruption can devastate human rights and standards of living. I am now out of prison and sharing my frontline perspective. I survived a difficult set of experiences, but can my journey be a teachable moment for others? I learned the hard way that bribery and corruption does not pay. But I also understand why people who are well-educated and compensated like I was do it. So if we understand why frontline personnel engage in corruption and how they rationalize their decisions, maybe we can help others who confront the same peril in their work. This is not something you learn from afar. This is something you can only understand if you can grasp how bribery gets rationalized at the front lines of international business. Let's not forget the environment and the impact it has on people. The people will always suffer from biased optimism, as in, I won't get caught. The lack of awareness at the front lines about the true victims of bribery and corruption. How compensation arrangements that are out of line with compliance messages can deliver compliance confusion in the field.